Clara Bow. She was the original Hollywood wild child, the woman who defined the roaring 20s with her smoldering gaze and uninhibited charm. Clara Bow wasn't just a star, she was a phenomenon. Dubbed the It Girl, she captivated audiences with a raw, magnetic energy that felt almost too real for the silver screen. But behind the glitz and glamour, Clara's life was a whirlwind of scandal, betrayal, and controversy. Hollywood had never seen anyone like her. She defied the prim and proper expectations of leading ladies, embracing a carefree attitude both on and off screen. The tabloids couldn't get enough. Rumors swirled about torrid affairs with actors, directors, and even an entire football team. Whether true or not, the whispers only added to her mystique. But the real blow came in the early 1930s, when her own secretary, Daisy DeVoe, turned against her in a highly publicized trial. DeVoe accused Clara of wild partying, reckless gambling, and an unrestrained personal life. Clara fought back, standing her ground in court, even delivering the now famous line, "Go ahead and sneer, Daisy, that's all right." But the damage was done. The relentless scrutiny, the betrayals, and the pressures of fame weighed heavily on her. By the time she was in her late 20s, she had enough. She walked away from Hollywood, retreating into a quiet life far from the spotlight. Yet even in retirement, Clara Bow's legacy endured. She wasn't just a sex symbol. She was a symbol of rebellion, of a woman who lived on her own terms despite the judgment of an industry that both adored and vilified her. And though she left Hollywood behind, the legend of the It Girl never faded. Jean Harlow. She was the original blonde bombshell, a woman whose mere presence on screen could make audiences weak in the knees. Jean Harlow wasn't just a star, she was a sensation. With her platinum hair, smoldering gaze, and flirtatious charm, she redefined Hollywood's idea of seduction in the early 1930s. But behind the dazzling smile was a life filled with scandal, heartbreak, and mystery. At just 21, Harlow married MGM executive Paul Byrne, a union that would end in one of Hollywood's most infamous tragedies. Only 2 months after their wedding, Byrne was found dead in their home, a cryptic note left behind. Officially ruled as self-inflicted, rumors swirled that Harlow knew more than she let on. Some whispered that a secret lover had been involved, while others speculated that Byrne had been hiding a dark secret. The scandal only fueled her allure, making her even more irresistible to audiences. Then there was Clark Gable. The chemistry between them on screen was undeniable, and off-screen, rumors of a fiery affair ran rampant. Whether they were lovers or just close friends, their connection was electric, and Hollywood couldn't get enough of them. But just as Harlow reached the height of her fame, tragedy struck again. In 1937, at only 26 years old, she fell gravely ill. What started as fatigue quickly worsened, and within days, she was gone. The official cause? Kidney failure. But even in death, the whispers continued. Some claimed it was the result of years of untreated health issues, while others believed something more sinister had happened. Jean Harlow's life was a whirlwind of glamour, gossip, and devastating loss. She left behind a legacy of beauty and intrigue, a star who burned too brightly to last. Decades later, her name still conjures up images of old Hollywood's golden age, where passion, scandal, and mystery ruled the silver screen. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich wasn't just a movie star. She was a revolution wrapped in silk and scandal. In an era when women were expected to be demure and obedient, Dietrich shattered expectations with a smirk and a cigarette. Her androgynous beauty and sultry performances in films like Morocco and Shanghai Express made her an international sensation in the 1930s and 40s. But it wasn't just her on-screen allure that captivated audiences. It was the way she lived her life, unapologetically and on her own terms. Dietrich's love life was as daring as her fashion choices. She had high-profile romances with both men and women, rumored to include Hollywood icons like John Wayne and Greta Garbo, as well as a royal prince. At a time when even whispers of same-gender relationships could end a career, she flaunted her affairs with an audacity that left conservative audiences both scandalized and enthralled. She didn't just bend gender norms, she crushed them under her impeccably tailored men's suits. Long before it was fashionable, Dietrich embraced androgyny, stepping onto red carpets in tuxedos and top hats, proving that femininity wasn't about dresses or pearls. It was about power. But perhaps the most controversial chapter of her life wasn't in Hollywood. It was during World War II. While many German-born stars distanced themselves from the war, Dietrich took a stand. She became a fierce opponent of the Nazi regime, using her fame to support the Allied forces. She toured war zones, performing for troops on the front lines, often putting herself in danger. Her wartime efforts earned her medals of honor from both the United States and France. But back in Germany, she was branded a traitor. When she finally returned to her homeland years later, she was met with protests and hostility, a painful reminder that defying expectations always comes at a cost. Marlene Dietrich lived by her own rules, whether in love, fashion, or politics. She was more than just a femme fatale. She was a force of nature, seducing the world not just with her beauty, but with her fearless defiance. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner wasn't just Hollywood's ultimate femme fatale. She was the woman who brought Frank Sinatra to his knees. In the 1940s and 50s, her beauty was the kind that made men reckless, and her fiery personality only added to her allure. When Sinatra fell for her, he fell hard. He left his wife Nancy for Ava, a decision that cost him dearly: his reputation, his career, and nearly his sanity. Their marriage was a whirlwind of passion, jealousy, and explosive fights that played out in the headlines. They would break up, reconcile, and then tear each other apart again. Sinatra's obsession with her was so intense that when she left him, he reportedly held a gun to his head, threatening to end it all. But Ava wasn't the kind of woman to be tamed. She had affairs with some of the most powerful men of her time, including billionaire Howard Hughes and Spanish bullfighter Luis Miguel Dominguín. Hughes was so enamored with her that he allegedly bugged her phone to keep tabs on her. But despite all the glamour, the jet-setting, and the men who worshipped her, Ava admitted later in life that she never found true happiness. In a rare moment of vulnerability, she confessed, "I either write or drink myself to sleep." She was the siren who had it all, except the one thing she truly wanted: peace. Josephine Baker. She was the siren of the jazz age, a woman who danced her way into the hearts and fantasies of audiences around the world. Josephine Baker wasn't just a performer, she was a phenomenon. When she arrived in Paris in the roaring 1920s, she captivated the city with her daring routines, none more infamous than her banana dance at the Folies Bergère. Draped in little more than a skirt of artificial bananas, she moved with a sensuality that both shocked and mesmerized. It wasn't just about the dance, it was the way she commanded the stage, exuding confidence and allure in a way that few had ever seen before. Overnight, she became an international star, a symbol of exotic beauty and uninhibited freedom. But Josephine wasn't just a dancer, she was a woman of intrigue. Her romances were as legendary as her performances, with lovers ranging from celebrated artists to powerful politicians and even European royalty. The speculation surrounding her love life only added to her mystique, making her one of the most talked about women of her time. Yet beneath the glamour and seduction, she harbored a secret. When World War II erupted, she used her fame and charm for something far more dangerous: espionage. As a spy for the French resistance, she smuggled intelligence across borders, slipping secrets into sheet music and using her high-profile connections to gather information. While the world saw her as a dazzling entertainer, behind the scenes she was risking her life for a cause greater than herself. Josephine Baker wasn't just the most seductive performer of her era, she was a trailblazer, a fighter, and a woman who defied expectations at every turn. Even today, her legacy endures, not just as the woman who danced in bananas, but as a symbol of strength, resilience, and unapologetic sensuality. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was the ultimate Hollywood fantasy, sultry, mysterious, and utterly hypnotic on screen. Her unforgettable dance in Gilda in the mid-1940s, where she slowly peeled off her opera gloves, became one of the most iconic moments in film history. Men worshipped her, women envied her, and the world saw her as the embodiment of desire. But behind the smoldering gaze and cascading red hair was a woman who struggled to find real love. She married 5 times, including to Prince Ali Khan, making her one of the first Hollywood actresses to ascend to real-life royalty. Yet despite the fairy tale image, her personal life was far from perfect. She once lamented, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me," revealing the painful disconnect between her public persona and her true self. As the years passed, Rita's struggles deepened. The woman who once lit up the silver screen with her magnetic presence slowly faded from the public eye as Alzheimer's disease took hold. By the time her condition was publicly acknowledged in the 1980s, fans were shocked to see the once radiant star slipping away. Her tragic decline served as a heartbreaking reminder that even the most dazzling icons are not immune to life's cruel twists. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield wasn't just another blonde bombshell, she was a force of nature. While often compared to Marilyn Monroe, Jane took things to an entirely different level. She didn't just flirt with the press, she practically seduced them, orchestrating publicity stunts so outrageous they made headlines worldwide. Whether it was wardrobe malfunctions at high-profile events or flaunting her famously curvy figure in barely there outfits, she knew exactly how to keep the cameras rolling. But it wasn't just her looks that shocked Hollywood. Her bold choices on screen did too. In the late 1950s, she became one of the first mainstream actresses to appear nude in a major film, shattering Hollywood's censorship rules and cementing her reputation as a provocateur. Off-screen, her personal life was just as scandalous. Jane's love affairs were legendary, but none were more bizarre than her rumored entanglement with Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. The tabloids went wild with speculation. Was she truly involved in the occult, or was it just another publicity stunt? Some claimed she dabbled in dark rituals, while others insisted she was simply toying with the headlines. Either way, the whispers of her connection to LaVey only added to her mystique. But Jane's larger-than-life persona came to a tragic end in the summer of 1967. While traveling in Louisiana, her car collided with a truck in a horrific crash that instantly took her life at just 34 years old. In the aftermath, gruesome rumors swirled. Some claimed she had been decapitated, a chilling myth that still haunts Hollywood lore. Though later debunked, the eerie legend only fueled the fascination with her untimely demise. Even in death, Jane Mansfield remained unforgettable. A woman who lived fast, broke the rules, and left behind a legacy as dazzling as it was tragic. Carmen Miranda. She was the dazzling whirlwind of feathers, fruit-laden hats, and hip-swaying rhythms. Carmen Miranda, the Brazilian bombshell who lit up Hollywood in the 1940s. With her infectious energy and flirtatious charm, she became a symbol of exotic allure, captivating audiences with every suggestive dance move. But behind the sequins and smiles, Carmen carried a burden few ever saw. Trapped in the caricature Hollywood had crafted for her, she struggled with depression and substance dependence, a stark contrast to her cheerful on-screen persona. Critics accused her of playing into stereotypes, but she fought back, insisting she was celebrating her heritage, not mocking it. Yet the pressure to maintain her over-the-top image weighed heavily on her. By the time she suffered a fatal heart attack at just 46, the world was stunned, but those closest to her knew the toll had been mounting for years. Her sudden passing was a tragic reminder that even the most vibrant stars can burn out too soon. Dolores Del Rio. In the glittering world of early Hollywood, few names carried the same mystique as Dolores Del Rio. She wasn't just a star, she was an enigma, a vision of elegance that captivated audiences and filmmakers alike. Orson Welles, the genius behind Citizen Kane, once called her the most exciting woman I've ever met. Their romance was the stuff of legend, intense, passionate, and ultimately doomed. Welles was enamored, but as his career took a darker turn, their love unraveled, leaving Del Rio heartbroken. Yet unlike many actresses whose careers faded with time, she refused to be discarded by Hollywood's obsession with youth. Reinventing herself in Mexican cinema, she proved she was more than just a breathtaking face. Her performances in films like Maria Candelaria cemented her legacy as a true artist, a woman who defied expectations and redefined beauty on her own terms. Mae West. Mae West didn't just push boundaries, she bulldozed right through them with a wink and a smirk. At a time when Hollywood was scrambling to keep things wholesome, she strutted onto the scene with a confidence that made censors sweat. Her 1927 Broadway play, fittingly titled Sex, was so scandalous that she was arrested and sentenced to 10 days in jail for corrupting the morals of youth. But instead of cowering, Mae turned the moment into a publicity goldmine, famously telling reporters, "I expect this will be the making of me." And she was right. The arrest only fueled her legend, making her an even bigger star. Her quick wit and sultry one-liners became her signature, often slipping risque jokes past censors with a knowing glance. She once admitted to intentionally writing outrageously suggestive lines into her scripts, knowing they'd be cut just so she could keep the ones she really wanted. And when Hollywood tried to rein her in, she doubled down, flaunting her relationships with younger, muscle-bound men and refusing to apologize for her sexuality. Even as she aged, she remained a symbol of empowerment, proving that confidence and charm could outshine any attempt to silence her. As she once quipped, "I believe in censorship. I made a fortune out of it." Louise Brooks. Louise Brooks wasn't just a silent film star. She was a rebellion wrapped in a sleek black bob. With her smoldering gaze and effortless charisma, she became the face of the Roaring Twenties, captivating audiences in films like Pandora's Box in 1929. But Hollywood wasn't ready for a woman who refused to play by its rules. Brooks turned down powerful studio contracts, scoffing at the idea of being molded into another obedient starlet. Her defiance cost her dearly, forcing her to flee to Europe, where she continued her bohemian lifestyle, indulging in high-profile affairs and scandalizing polite society. Rumors swirled about her rendezvous with Charlie Chaplin and other Hollywood elites, only adding to her mystique. Decades later, the world finally caught up with her. Feminists reclaimed her as a pioneer, an unapologetic woman who embraced her sexuality and independence long before it was fashionable. Though Hollywood cast her aside, history ensured she would never be forgotten. Theda Bara. Before Hollywood had Marilyn Monroe or Rita Hayworth, there was Theda Bara, the original femme fatale. In the 1910s, she became one of cinema's first sex symbols, earning the nickname the Vamp for her hypnotic, dark allure. Studios crafted her image with an air of mystery, fabricating a wild backstory that claimed she was born in the Sahara Desert and practiced the occult. Audiences were captivated, believing she was an exotic enigma rather than a girl from Cincinnati, Ohio. She embraced roles dripping with seduction, portraying wickedly irresistible women who lured men to their doom. At a time when society was still clutching its pearls, Theda Bara's overt sensuality sent shockwaves through the industry. But despite her enormous fame, most of her films were lost to time, turning her legacy into a puzzle pieced together through surviving photographs and whispers of scandal. Her legend remains, wrapped in mystery, a ghostly reminder of Hollywood's first true temptress. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was the ultimate Hollywood bombshell, a blonde goddess whose beauty was only rivaled by the drama that followed her. She was the kind of star who could command a room with a single glance, but behind the dazzling smile was a personal life that played out like a noir thriller. Turner's love affairs were legendary: Frank Sinatra, Tyrone Power, and even the notorious gangster Johnny Stompanato. But it was her relationship with Stompanato that would lead to one of Hollywood's most shocking scandals. On a fateful night in 1958, a heated argument between Turner and Stompanato turned deadly when her teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, intervened, stabbing him in what was later ruled as justifiable. The trial became a media frenzy, with Turner breaking down on the stand, her every tear scrutinized by the press. Despite the tragedy, she remained a Hollywood icon, proving that even the darkest moments couldn't overshadow her star power. The scandal only cemented her status as one of the most fascinating women in Hollywood history, a woman whose life blurred the line between fiction and reality. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.